Jimmy.
Testing.
Hello? Wow, I can't believe the big day is finally here. Will we please have a round of applause for Joanna, Eric, Mum, Dad, and of course the bride and the groom. All of the hard work preparing this day has finally come and it has been perfect. We also need a round of applause for the bridesmaids, groomsmen, and our families and friends who have travelled here today to share with Ben and Tabby's special day. I know I speak on behalf of the family that we are truly grateful for all your presents. For those of you who don't know us, I am Ben's older brother, Matthew. Now I know what you're all thinking. Just because I'm shorter and have a better hairline, it doesn't mean I'm younger.
And I'm James, Ben's actual youngest brother. The benefit of one older and one younger is we have seen him grow up from different angles.
Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Ben and Tabby on their marriage, the new Mr. and Mrs. Quayle.
Thank you also to Joanna for her lovely speech and Ben for his kind words.
I know for Joanna, this has taken a lot of courage to stand up in front of everyone to do the speech, so well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
And Tabby, you look beautiful today, and we welcome you to the Quayle family as our new sister-in-law.
Today is an emotional day as our middle brother is getting married. As most of you all know, us three brothers have an extremely strong bond and we look out for each other every day. We therefore are honoured to be his best men.
We are also happy to be here to be overseeing the only 15 minutes of today that Ben and Tabby didn't plan by the second. I am only joking. They did go over our speech about half an hour ago at the bar. But I did manage to save some pages. Mum also said we're not allowed to mention anything about Ben's tattoo, smoking, or his ex-girlfriends. That's it then, thank you.
Come on, Matt. You have to tell her about this one.
James, all I'm saying is, look what we found under his bed. Thanks, Grandma. All I'm saying is, where do we start with Ben? Our little bunny Fufu has been known to the family as we watch Peter Rabbit. After me being the eldest brother, the very well-behaved child, Mum and Dad very quickly had Ben, and Ben was born. And it was soon discovered he was the total opposite of me.
Ben has always been out to shock. To shock people. And has been through so many phases in his life, we didn't know where to start with this speech. From wanting to leave school and join the Marines at 15, wanting beads in his hair, dreadlocks, like his hair like stereo in the Caribbean, to when he dyed his hair bleach blonde and looked like a pineapple head for his school photograph when he needed to start. So we needed to start somewhere. Ben has always set high expectations for himself. Throughout his life, his expectations have either gone really well or really wrong. And we can most certainly say we have enjoyed being either side to experience Ben growing up.
James and I would say we were the talented ones of the brothers. James would play the drums and I would play the flute, impressing all my friends at their dinner parties when they would play and perform. Ben, however, feeling left out, he decided to want to play the clarinet. Knowing Ben, Mum and Dad couldn't imagine a grade 8 solo at one of their evening dinner parties. Christmas Day came and Ben got his most wanted clarinet. After a week of sounding like a cow giving birth, there was no improvement and Ben's attention went elsewhere in life. Tabby, your future children will have no musical talent, that's for sure.
Another phase of Ben's was skateboarding. We would skateboard wearing skulls on our hoodies, baggy trousers and chains hanging low off our belts. Mum soon, however, banned us from wearing baggy jeans, skulls on our clothes, and we began to not blend in with the rest of our friends. At the skateboard park, in our Ralph Lauren polo top and our beige chinos.
And no surprise, the next phase came along when skateboarding wasn't as cool. Ben loved and watched and binge-watched Pimp My Ride on MTV. He managed to persuade James and I to chip in on an old purple Vauxhall Corsa Dad had traded into the garage. Ben got carried away, putting flame decals, spinning hood caps, and installed a subwoofer in the boot, screaming "Candy Shop" by 50 Cent. Ben even hand-painted the engine case to make it look like a Ferrari, in his opinion.
The rule about driving this babe magnet of a car was we were not allowed over the boundary line of our driveway. We were only allowed to drive it up and down, reverse it, back down. This, however, got boring after a while. At the time, we were only 10 and 13. And Ben would gamble that he could rally up Douglas Head, along Green Drive, to the gate and back, before Mum realised we had crossed the boundary line. As it came to his I'm getting confused here. Never found out about the rallying, but I laugh today looking back at the people who would be eating their fish and chips up Douglas Head and then seeing an 11 and a 13-year-old flying past them at 60 miles an hour in a souped-up Corsa blasting Candy Shop.
Ben later decided to knuckle down with his academic brain and sailed through GCSEs at QE2 High School. As it came to his decision on going into sixth form, Ben was given the opportunity to go into Millfield School for sixth form where I was. Now I was never sure if Ben was up to the idea of prep time, living in a boarding house and having Saturday school. Ben was in denial to go to Millfield. He wanted to stay in the hood down Peel with the boys and drink Smirnoff on the streets. He couldn't watch Pimp My Ride there or walk into Gales Fair in Peel with my ID to buy alcohol. The morning Ben was sailed off to an interview at Millfield School, he protested by cutting slits in his eyebrows like a true gangster. It's safe to say Ben did receive a scholarship to Millfield School, however he did have to wear Mum's eyeliner over both eyes and eyebrows over this weekend for the interview process.
Ben managed to pass his A-levels and made it to Nottingham Trent University to study a degree in real estate. Pimp My Ride and the boy racing days were over, only because the drinking days began. When Ben came home from holidays, he was fortunate enough to have a younger brother who wasn't old enough to drink, but could drive. This would result in phone calls at 4 a.m. each weekend for me to pick him up. This was never as simple as just picking someone up, as Ben would manage to find himself in a situation. There was one particular night, Ben managed to get caught up in the middle of a fight in Douglas and rang me to come and pick him up on Douglas Quay. I drove down in an emergency and couldn't find him. I phoned him, to which he responds, "I'm hiding." "Why are you hiding, Ben?" And while on the phone, I see him sit up on one of the small dinghy boats in the harbour. And then he jumped from boat to boat towards my car with no t-shirt on. He believes the police was after him and jumped into the boot of my car and shouted, "Drive home!" After another night out in Douglas, this time Ben didn't ask me to drive him home, as he managed to find his own way home. I lost my space when I looked up at it. After another night out in Douglas, this time he didn't get his own way home, When he got in, he came to my room and started poking me to wake me up. I asked what was up with him, and he whispered extremely loud, "Shh, I've been sick. You need to help me clean it up before Mum sees in the morning." I sit up, turn the light on, and discover a naked man in my bedroom. Sick on his shoulder, and a bathroom towel over the other. I said to him, "Why are you naked?" He looks down in shock to discover that he is naked and laughs his head off, saying he has no idea. I cleaned all the sick up I could see through my tired eyes and put the naked man to bed. Mum woke Ben up the next morning to ask if he had been sick. Ben, confused, thinking, "I thought James had cleaned it." He responded, "Maybe a little bit." What I hadn't noticed was the sick on the floor in the bathroom. I only cleaned the sick on the floor in the bathroom, and I didn't think to look at the walls or the ceiling.
One morning, Dad came downstairs into the kitchen to see an horrific ultimate low scene. His son's clothes were all over the floor, including his shoes and a large shit on the floor. I heard Dad scream and shouting, waking Ben up in the bedroom after a night out. "You're disgusting. How dare you get yourself into such a mess that you shit yourself? You've come in last night and shit yourself in the kitchen and you've gone to bed." Ben responded, No, I didn't shit myself. I came in drunk, slipped in dog shit, got it all over me, and just decided to strip off all my clothes and go to bed."
Saturday night has always been Chinese night in our house. There was always so much Chinese left over. It was amazing after a night out, and we always had a feast to eat. This soon stopped when one morning after a night out, Mum asked us where the chicken food was. We asked what she meant, and she said she filled the large serving bowl with old dog food, leftover Chinese, and any other waste for the chickens, and it was empty. It had come to our attention that we had eaten that in our feast before bed. We learned very quickly to not trust leftover food on the side when coming in from the night out.
Ben knew how to get drunk throughout university. However, he also knew when to knuckle down, achieving the only first-class honours degree in our family, which he will never let us forget about. Although he sailed through university, he still managed to find himself working for McDonald's in Birmingham. Whether this was for the property management division or flipping burgers, none of us really know. Interview after interview, Ben was determined to live and work in London. His dedication was second to none, which was extremely admirable. Ben managed to be offered a job where he did nearly 6 years for Lambert Smith Hampton Commercial Property Division, where he achieved his RICS chartership.
There was always someone in life that if you needed them to do something for you, whatever it was, they would. Ben was that person for me at a time when I was also living in London, and I had a girlfriend who also lived in London. Her family owned a wedding clothes company and asked me if I would model for them at a fashion show to do the catwalk, and they needed another person. I couldn't say no, so I begged Ben to do it with me. I was already a disappointment to my girlfriend's family that I wasn't Jewish, and this was an opportunity to step up to the mark. Ben agreed to do this with me. As a bonus, we were going to get 50 quid each. We set off on the train together for over an hour's journey to do this fashion show. It was only when we got there Ben realised he forgot his smart shoes. In a panic, we rang down to the local village where Ben had to buy a new pair of smart shoes. So not only was he helping me doing the catwalk, but it cost him 10 quid to do it as well.
When Ben introduced Tabby to the family for the first time, like any family would, everybody is to be on their best behaviour and doesn't want to embarrass Ben. No talk of exes, no baby photos. Every family knows the drill when a family member introduced the partner to the family for the first time. Dad, on the other hand, had missed the memo on this occasion and completely humiliated himself and the family. Dad, as he stood up from the kitchen table, let a large fart slip from his underpants, which created an awkward silence. It led to an apology from Dad and Ben shaking his head. We all knew Tabby would fit in well to the family when her reaction was, "It's okay, it's your house, you can do what you want."
I was delighted when Ben managed to get himself a girlfriend, especially when Ben turned into the third wheel of my relationship with Ruby. We went on a family holiday to Tenerife and decided to go to Siam Park Water Park. It was difficult with Ben not having a girlfriend, as not being an even number for the rubber rings on the slides. You would have thought Ben would have offered to just share a rubber ring with another stranger in the park or just get a single dinghy. It turned out we had to take turns. We went on their own. And Ben spent the afternoon sharing a double dinghy with Ruby around the water park to share with strangers.
Ben finally decided to move back to the Isle of Man and had been offered a directorship with Black Grace Cowley, working with the commercial department. Coming back from London, James and I called Ben the new wolf of Victoria Street. Unfortunately for Ben, just as he moved back to the island before starting his new job, COVID hit and the island was in lockdown. With no means of income, Ben decided to sign up to the Dole, while he waited to start his new position. From mine and James's perspective, this looked hilarious. Ben driving around the Isle of Man as the new wolf of Victoria Street on the Dole, while driving his Range Rover Sport.
Tabby was keen into her running, and suddenly 16-stone Ben, who had drank like a fish and eaten Chinese food for the last 6 years in London, also decided to get into running. Ben, being Ben, within a week believed he had a body of a temple. He'd read Ant Middleton's book and became to have a mindset of an SAS fighter. Bigger, faster, stronger, fitter, and he would laugh at the sign of weakness. In doing this, he decided to enter the London Marathon with Tabby. Body of a temple Ben was confused while running the London Marathon and was getting offended while running around the course because some of the crowd would be reading Ben's name on his running shirt and shouting, "Go Big Ben!" He was getting angry that people were referring to him as Big Ben and had no idea why. He wasn't big, he was an SAS athlete.
Big Ben knew I only made it to Patrick one year during the parish walk, so following the London Marathon and Ben on his fitness journey, he decided to laugh James and I out the door as he thought he could complete the parish walk with his eyes shut. Tabby completed the parish walk, so in his eyes, if she can do it, I can do it. SAS Big Ben started the parish walk with his cocky attitude and repeated constantly, "He's never got tired walking and doesn't know what it's like to get tired walking." Halfway up the slog, Big Ben began to look low on sugar, moody and limping like he'd shit himself. Well, I can quite glad to say he only made it to Peel. He had to have a lie down while Mum held his legs above his head outside the creek while he went faint.
Ben has been a hilarious brother and a best friend to grow up with. He is an extremely loyal and hard-working person who has a Big Ben heart, an SAS attitude, and is career-driven like the Wolf of Wall Street. He's got a harder outer shell, but on the inside he is very caring and puts everyone before him. He gets more pleasure in doing things for others than for himself. Ben has been a role model for us from day one, and he will continue to be as a loving husband to Tabby.
We hope this day is the day everything you've ever wanted. Can we all please now raise our glasses for the new Mr. and Mrs. Quayle?
To Mr. and Mrs. Quayle.
Thank you.
Thank you.